Hey guys, it's Sim, and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited. As we are here on the 11th, no, it's the 11th month, but it's the 16th of the 11th month, which is November. It's November 16th, 2022, and we're here to talk about AEW Dynamite, but not just any episode of Dynamite. It was the go-home show for this, what did Moxley say? Saturday? Anyways, Saturday AEW Full Gear pay-per-view. We're going to talk about everything that went down on Dynamite to build towards Full Gear. Then at the end of the podcast, we're actually going to give you our Full Gear predictions as well. Also, I do want to let you guys know Tony Khan will be doing a media scrum tomorrow morning ahead of Full Gear. We won't be streaming that live because we're not allowed to, but as soon, and I mean as soon as that goes off, when they're done with all that, I'm clicking upload on YouTube, so it'll be up there. It's supposed to be at about, I could double check the time for you guys. I have the email here. I want to say it's 11 my time, but let me just double check. AEW webcast. Yeah, so 11 a.m. my time. They usually go 45 minutes to an hour. So then roughly noon Pacific, I'll upload it. Maybe it'll take 5-10 minutes. By 12:30 Pacific, it should be uploaded on the channel for you guys tomorrow. Again, that is Tony Khan doing his normal pre-pay-per-view media scrum. We'll see what questions get asked. We'll see if anybody has the balls to ask about CM Punk. But as far as Dynamite does go, I liked it. That was a pretty good show. Very effective-ish to build towards the pay-per-view. There are some things that I was a little not a fan of. We'll get into all of that as we get through it. But Luke, what do you think of Dynamite?
I thought it was all right. It was basically just them announcing the rest of what's going to be on Full Gear. I so I thought it was all right. Not a
Yeah,
bad show.
I would say the same thing. All right. And I wanted to look at one thing really fast. So when we look at the Full Gear lineup, and I know we'll get more into this later when we do our predictions, but when we look at the Full Gear lineup, there are 11 matches announced so far. The last pay-per-view, All Out, had 15 matches, and last year's Full Gear had 10 matches. So I don't think they're going to announce any new matches. Now, maybe they can announce a pre-show match, but I don't think they've done pre-show matches since early 2021. So I think the 11 matches is all we're going to get. I could be wrong there, but just a thought. As far as everything goes, I want to say thank you for joining us here, twitch.tv/PW Unlimited if you are watching live, or thank you for watching at youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, or listening on podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Remember, if you are watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below, or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel one of two different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime, because remember, if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and they always give you one free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month, and I'd greatly appreciate it if you did right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Also, remember, if you're watching on YouTube, you can become a channel member to get early access to news, early access to podcast episodes, early access to non-news videos, and so much more. And finally, one last thing, head over to the Epic Game Store. Whether you're buying Game of the Year contender Elden Ring, whether you're buying a game that should have been up for Game of the Year like Sifu, or you're claiming the free games, use our code at checkout, PW Unlimited, and you will be directly supporting us without having to spend anything else. Trying to get bucks for Rocket League, Fortnite, Fall Guys, or Rumbleverse, whether that's on your PC through the Epic Game Store or your PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, or mobile device, use our code right down here, PWUNLIMITED at checkout for all Epic Games and Epic Game Store purchases, and you will be directly supporting us at, again, No extra cost to you. Just takes maybe 20 seconds to type it in. It doesn't take long at all. But as far as AEW Dynamite does go, got the note. Boom. Okay, there we go. Notes, polls live on Twitch. Show started off with the Fatal 4-Way match. We had Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, Taz, and Ian Riccaboni all on commentary. We had Claudio Castagnoli and Bryan Danielson against the ROH World Champion Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. Now, these four men were in teams tonight, but at the pay-per-view on Saturday, they're actually going to be all opponents. It's every man for themselves, and I'm kind of interested in that. I assume Danielson and Claudio, they're whatever. They'll fight each other. Who cares? They just want to be the champ. But the big question is going to be, does Sammy ever try to actually win at the pay-per-view? Does Sammy actually ever fight Jericho himself? And if Jericho's going for a pin, could we maybe at one point see Sammy pull him off and try to get the pin himself?
I don't know. I mean, I could definitely see like Jericho is out. He's out of the ring. He's laying down, and then R tries to pin Danielson, and Danielson kicks out. I mean, I can see that.
Right.
But as far as Jericho trying to like pick up the pin to prevent Sammy from winning, I don't know. Honestly, that's a good question.
Oh, if Sammy's trying to go for the pin, I can see Jericho pulling him off, no problem. But would Sammy, excuse me, would Sammy pull Jericho off of, say, Danielson and try to get the win himself? That's the big question. Because, it's the JAS, not the GAS.
I mean, if that does happen, Jericho would probably say, I forgive you. It's a fatal 4-way match. Every man for himself.
True. As far as the match tonight, Jericho and Claudio started it off. Danielson and Guevara also paired off early as well later on. And Danielson and Claudio took turns using anvil elbows on both of their opponents before Danielson got a Romero special on Guevara. Guevara used his speed to momentarily overtake Guevara, who answered with a standing vertical suplex, actually more than one, on both members of the JAS. Jericho briefly got the advantage, though, on Danielson by going after his, quote, injured eye from last week, but Danielson chopped away and got free. Danielson was dropped on his head and allowed the Lasex Gods, as they used to call themselves, to pose for the crowd. Danielson no-sold Guevara's chops and lit him up with some strikes and corner charges until Guevara got a drop toe hold into the turnbuckle. The referee was distracted at one point, and Jericho popped Danielson in the face with Floyd the Bat as they went to a commercial break. Danielson was isolated on their side of the ring, the heel side of the ring, that is, during the break, as Ian Riccaboni says that Jericho is becoming what he despised, a successful, actually, he said, I don't want to say it, but Jericho may be becoming one of the most successful ROH world champions. And I'm like, he's held the title for what? A couple of months and defended against just a bunch of random people. Granted, they're all former champions of Ring of Honor and whatnot. But it's like, okay, he's defended what? 2 or 3 times against Danielson, defended once against Claudio, and then he's defended against other random people. It's like, how do you call this one of the greatest world champions of all time? He's really not done much of note as the champion, I guess you could say. I mean, I don't see how he would have been booked any different than he is if he wasn't the champion, if you know what I mean.
I mean, it was really like none of his championship matches were like storyline built.
And other than maybe one of the Danielson matches, did anybody ever believe that he was going to lose the belt? Exactly. So it's like, I get it. You're saying Jericho's going out here and putting on good matches as a champion. But that also comes down to how he's booked. And yes, he's booked well and strong, but he's booked into positions and situations where we're like, oh, well, I shouldn't have to care about this match because Jericho ain't losing the belt yet. Oh, nope, another match, Jericho ain't Dalton Castle? Nope. Bandito, nope. So it's like they're booking him in a way where we don't care. And I get it. That's Ian Riccaboni's job, to make us care. So he says stuff like this, but we just don't. We don't care about his reign right now because he's not doing anything that makes us go, oh, this is an interesting storyline, or that's an interesting match. No, it's more of, Jericho will win. Back to the match. Go for it.
It also just gives Jericho something to do.
Yes, exactly what it feels like. They just needed something for him to do. Where was I? Danielson moonsaulted out of the corner at one point and whipped Jericho with a flying elbow to make the hot tag, as Claudio ran wild with uppercuts, including a springboard one as well. Claudio then went for the giant swing, but Guevara put a stop to it as he took out Danielson with a dive, while Jericho locked in Castagnoli in the walls of Jericho. Danielson posted Guevara and broke up a submission with a shotgun dropkick. Guevara and Danielson both made the tags and had a little stare down as Danielson leaned in to the forehead of Guevara and started to hit him with some strikes and kicks. Again, Guevara went for the eye and locked on the GTH, but Danielson rolled through it into a label lock. Guevara did make it to the ropes to break the hold, but when they went to the ropes, Guevara bit his way from Danielson's grasps and then hit a super cutter. Jericho then hit a lion salt, and Claudio broke things up. Danielson and Jericho both tried for charging attacks and collided with a double down spot. Danielson made the tag, but Jericho was more worried about reaching Floyd the Bat than tagging Guevara, as Danielson took out Guevara with a dive. Claudio then finally hit the giant swing. Afterwards, he disarmed Jericho and his bat, locked on a sharpshooter, and got the submission victory. So Claudio Castagnoli does defeat the champion, and they made it known. They go, this weekend it's not one-on-one, but when it's just Claudio and Jericho in the ring, we know Claudio can get the better of Jericho. So could we see that this weekend? And I'm like, maybe. But I just, there's something in me that's like, again, I don't think Jericho loses. And I'll talk about that more in the predictions, but I don't think Jericho loses at the pay-per-view. He goes in. I think they want that big Jericho main eventing an ROH pay-per-view.
I could also see them doing. It's like Claudio made Jericho tap out. I could definitely see AEW just going, Claudio made Jericho tap out, so that automatically makes him number one contender. It's Jericho at Final Battle.
In what, a submission match? The sharpshooter against the walls?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see Jericho winning for the sole fact, or losing, for the sole fact that I think they want Jericho to main event a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. There's a video package highlighting. Go for it.
But also, maybe it's just them also having Jericho as the champion as a way for them to try and get a TV deal for Ring of Honor.
Exactly. That's why. I mean, I've said it since he won the belt that's why I think they put the title on him. Adam, you're kind of late on that one. We've been talking about Jericho on Masked Singer for the last 2 weeks. Trust me. I used to watch The Masked Singer, but then after season 2 or halfway through season 2, the show just felt very redundant and the same, and I wasn't interested anymore. But from when I used to watch, it was hard to tell who's singing under those masks. But the moment I saw the video of Jericho singing on The Masked Singer, I'm like, oh no, that's Jericho. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's for me at least, the easiest one I've ever been able to guess without knowing. Because literally, I didn't know it was Jericho. Someone sent me the video and they go, don't look it up. Watch this and just tell me who you think it is. And within the first 5 seconds, I knew it was Jericho. But yeah, that's kind of old news there, bud.
It's also kind of hard to predict who's the singer because, especially if it's someone that you never even heard of.
Exactly. Or if it's Rudy Giuliani, who's not known for singing, who really can't sing. We had a video package highlighting Moxley versus MJF at Full Gear. Both of them come on more later. There's a black and white video of Darby in a body bag being picked up by Sting and placed in the backseat of a car. Allen gets free and sits up and gets in the front while Sting says Full Gear will be showtime. We come back to Sanjay Dutt, Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, and Jeff Jarrett. Jarrett basically makes fun of Sting for still having the same catchphrase he had over 24 years ago, and said that Full Gear will be the last time he's in the Showtime, or he has Showtime, something like that. He makes a pun about the Showtime line. It'll be whatever. I think it's going to be solid. I mean, if you would have told me 20-something years ago that Jeff Jarrett was going to wrestle Sting in 2022 and actually, at least Jarrett, still look good in the ring, I wouldn't have believed you. I wouldn't have. But, like, we've seen Jeff Jarrett work multiple matches this year. And in all those matches, even the Ric Flair one and the Effie match and all the matches he worked this year, he looked good. Jeff Jarrett doesn't do anything like super stand out, and he never has, but he's always been a solid performer in the ring, and he still is.
Yeah, I don't think Jeff Jarrett. I don't think Jeff Jarrett does anything like crazy in the match.
No.
It's probably just going to be just him moving around a little bit, and they're going to have like Jay Lethal, like most of the craziness.
I think it was Christopher Daniels one time in an interview said, I will never do something in the first 3 to 5 minutes that I don't think I could do 30 minutes later in a match. Basically saying, I won't do a move that if I'm tired later, I can't do early on in the match. I want to be able to do any move at any time. And I feel like that's just how Jeff Jarrett's always been. I'm going to have a move set where no matter how tired I am or how old I get, I could do those moves at any time. I mean, he's got the stroke as his finisher. He's got the figure 4 leg lock that he's done forever. So it's like he's got a pretty easy move set to work with. And he doesn't do, like we said, anything super over the top that when he gets older, he's going to have to adapt himself to. He's just a solid wrestler with some may call it boring move set, but for what Jeff Jarrett's always been, I'd call it effective. So before the next match, the Acclaimed premiered their music video. And I'm just going to say right now, I'm not a rap fan. You guys probably know this, but I was offended when they used part of my favorite movie in a stupid way. So, y'all don't know, Mr. Paul White, former The Big Show, formerly The Giant, is in the movie The Waterboy. Who does he play in The Waterboy? Captain Insano. So at the beginning of this Acclaimed music video, we've got it's just so weird. Because it's weird to see him pretend to be Captain Insano and bald. Because Captain Insano when he was Captain Insano, he had the longer hair. And I just watched The Waterboy over the weekend. And
He's also jacked in the movie.
Kinda, a little bit. He was in really good shape when he was like 25 years old. But it's just weird to see him, because now, like when I watch The Waterboy, I just feel like that's Captain Insano. But when I saw him tonight, I'm like, oh, that's just the guy trying to play a character from a movie. You almost don't even think of it being the same guy in The Waterboy that you see there. It's dumb. So you've got the Acclaimed basically interviewing him like he's being interviewed in the movie. And they're like, and then you have Swerve in Our Glory on a couch watching this. They're supposed to be like when Bobby Boucher was laying in his bed watching Captain Insano on TV, and he calls in. And they're like, let's send it to our good friends. And they said like Keith Lee and Sneaky Swerve or whatever they call them. And they're like, we want to know if Captain Insano can give us the probability of Swerve in Our Glory beating the Acclaimed for the tag titles at Full Gear. And I'm like, okay, this is stupid. And then they go into the rap, which I didn't even pay attention to because I'm not a fan of rap music. But yeah, if that's the only reason, if this is why they trademarked Captain Insano, I know it was a while ago that they did, but it's like, come on, you could have done something better. You should have. I honestly think they should have at least put a freaking wig on him, put a long-haired wig on him. That for the comedy of what that was supposed to be would have made it even funnier. But it was whatever. I didn't pay attention to the rap because I don't like rap. I know they made a reference to Grapsity's Will Washington because he's the cousin of Swerve, and they said something about family and dirt sheets. And then they made there's another reference. Now I can't remember. I didn't write it down during the intro rap, but I think they made a Trump reference. But yeah, the match was good though. Swerve Strickland and Bowens. As far as the match does go, Bowens' mouth did get busted open at one point. He tripped up Strickland in the corner and mounted a comeback that included a charging back elbow. Despite being slow to put his offense together due to the early attack by Strickland, Bowens hit an angle slam and got a 2 off of it. He tried to do it again, but Strickland answered back with a brainbuster and a kill shot kick for a near fall. Strickland violently snapped the arm of Bowens over the top rope, and then he went for the swerve stomp, but again only got a 2. Bowens tried a schoolboy, but Strickland again wrenched the arm and hit the JML driver to pick up a clean victory. So Swerve defeats Bowens ahead of Swerve in Our Glory, challenging the Acclaim this weekend for the tag titles. Thoughts on the match? Oh no, I think we've lost Luke. This happened before we went live. All right, give me 1 second. Luke froze. So I'm going to do this to show only me for a second. Try this. We reconnect. Luke may just need to reconnect because that's what happened earlier. Give me 1 moment. Yep. Not reconnecting. Okay, hold on. All right, he just messaged me, says he's going to try and rejoin. Until then, I'll just keep going. Breaking news. The Vice Vince McMahon documentary that will feature interviews by both Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez will premiere on Vice on December 13th. Very cool. Very cool. Hopefully we get Luke back here in a moment. So, as far as this show does go, and let me just message Luke back to let him know that I got his message. Give me 1 last second, guys. Video package hyping up Jade Cargill and Nyla Rose for the TBS Championship. We then had the Samoa Joe interview, where Samoa Joe was interviewed by Tony Schiavone. And we've got Luke back. Awesome. Luke, can you hear me? Uh-oh. Okay. I can hear him. He can't hear me. All right, so Samoa Joe comes out. Despite turning on Wardlow last week, Joe still entered through the babyface tunnel. We good? Can you hear me? No. Well, dang. We're gonna try one more thing. I'm gonna have him restart, and then I'm gonna restart on my end as well. But Joe was asked about his shocking actions and said his actions weren't shocking, as Wardlow's actions resulted in him paying the price. Joe refused to be the victim. 1 second. I'm going to disconnect and reconnect to see if that helps. Oh, and then we lost him. I didn't want him to disconnect. I wanted to, dang it. Anyways. Where were we? Joe didn't wait around to be saved. He saved himself, he said. He said if anyone has a problem with what he did, they should take it up with him, and out would come Powerhouse Hobbs. Hobbs interrupted and said that he's been the one kicking Wardlow's ass the last several weeks and hits the ring to do the same to Joe. But Wardlow would then interrupt as he hit the ring from the crowd to attack Joe. A bunch of men came out to break it all up. These 3 men tried to brawl and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And then they did a bunch of stuff where they had a bunch of guys outside the ring. Wardlow then did a flip dive out of the ring onto the pile. And then he posed in the ring afterwards. Cool. This then does lead to a triple threat match for the TNT Championship, though, at the pay-per-view. It will be Wardlow defending against both Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs. What is this? Something happened after the show went off the air. It says MJF off-air promo about the quote bullshit going on, and he praised Tony Khan because without Tony, WWE would be a monopoly. Huh. That's interesting. I'll have to listen to that a little bit later. Huh. That's interesting. Britt Baker cut a promo backstage, all alone. Tony Schiavone said that she wanted to be alone. She didn't even want him there. She said, where was I? She recapped everything that went down with Saraya last week. She said in 3 years, she became a leader in the AEW locker room and became her own role model. Can you hear me? No, don't. Wait. I'm going to disconnect, reconnect. Any better? Dang. I can hear you. Ah, man. You would think with technology, everything should just boop, boop, boop. We good. All right. Britt Baker says she earned opportunities instead of being handed them. Baker said that she might not have wrestled in Madison Square Garden, but she wrestled in Daly's Place during the pandemic. When the fans couldn't be there, she was there for them. And that's bullshit. I hated that line because she basically said, Saraya, during the pandemic, you sat at home. You weren't working in front of the fans or for the fans, working at all. No, that's bullshit. That line was crap because if Saraya was cleared to work, if WWE would have told her to be at the Thunderdome every week, she would have been there. But WWE sat her at home. WWE said you're not cleared. Oh, Luke can hear me now. Awesome. But WWE, gotcha. I'm talking about how I hated Britt Baker's line about how she may not have ever worked MSG, but she worked Daly's Place during the pandemic to give the fans what they needed, what they wanted. I thought that line was horseshit because it's basically saying, oh yeah, while I was out working during the pandemic, what did you do? You were doing nothing, Saraya. And that's horseshit because Saraya would have been at the Thunderdome every week if WWE wanted her. If WWE told her to be there every week, she would have been there. So them putting that line in there was, oh, it got me. It got to me a little bit because it's like, you know, she would have and most likely wanted to be working. And it's not like she did the whole, I'm not working because COVID. No, it was WWE ain't using me and I'm not cleared. So I thought that line was a little crappy, kind of a shitty shot. Baker said that she respects Saraya, though, but this business owes Saraya nothing. And Baker is the heart, soul, and pulse of All Elite Wrestling. She said if Saraya can't respect that, Saraya needs to get the hell out of her house. I thought the promo was all right. Again, I didn't like the line of, I worked through the pandemic and you didn't, basically. So, and then when she's like, I'm the leader, I'm the heart and soul of this locker room, I'm like, are you really? Are you really? No. That's freaking Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley's the one that everyone sees as the face of the company. I get it, Britt's maybe the face of the division, but she's not the face of the company. No offense. What did you think of her promo, though?
WWE, they didn't even need her through COVID.
No.
Like she wasn't a talent. Like she wasn't medically cleared. WWE, they didn't need her backstage or anything.
Like they could have used her as like the manager of the Kabuki Warriors, like she was doing at one point. But basically, they were just like, "You're not cleared. We got nothing for you. Stay home." And that wasn't on her. Like I said, it wasn't on her as far as like take Roman Reigns for example. He took time off because of COVID. He's like, I'm gonna sit at home for a little bit. She wouldn't. I don't want to speak for her, but I don't think she would have. I think if they would have asked her to come in and work at the Thunderdome, she would have came in and worked at the Thunderdome. So that got to me a little bit. I just didn't particularly care for that shot because you're taking a shot at somebody that had no basically say over what they were able to do in the business at that moment in time.
Didn't Roman like also like didn't want to like risk getting sick because of his like leukemia?
Correct. That's why he did not work the Goldberg Mania match or whatever it was. Yeah, it was the Goldberg Mania match. They literally promoted the match. They did the face-to-face and everything. And then like days before they filmed WrestleMania, he was like, I'm not coming. And he was out for April, May, June, July, August, 5 to 6 months. Sat home for 5 to 6 months, which is fine. But it's just like, Saraya didn't do that. Saraya didn't say, I'm not working. They told her, we don't need you. Anyways, Death Triangle defending the tag title or trios titles against Dante Martin, Darius Martin, and AR Fox. I mean, fun match, but all I did was sit there and go, when are the Elite coming out? When are the Elite coming out? When are we getting the match announcement? Like, I did not care for this match at all because we knew what was leading to after the match, and it was overshadowed by the whole how they announcing Death Triangle versus the Elite. So, honestly, my notes are probably going to suck here because I didn't pay much attention to the match. I'm sitting here going, all right, is the match actually going to have an actual finish? Are the Elite going to come out? Is there going to be some sort of a thing? So, yeah. Good to see Darius Martin back, though. Been a while. He had, I think, car accident earlier this year that kept him out of action. And he and Phoenix started off the match. And they went, as anyone would expect, a mile a minute. They were just the whole time. Penta and Dante jumped in at one point. And Dante did a wall walk into a no-handed leapfrog and sent Penta outside the ring, which was an incredible looking move. AR Fox and Pac at one point also squared off, and both did some flips to avoid each other until Fox hit a kick and a cutter that sent Pac to the outside. At one point, Fox was isolated during a commercial break, but then got the hot tag right away when they returned to Darius, who dropped Pac with a brainbuster for a 2. Phoenix and Top Flight laid out Phoenix and Pac at one point with a DDT and a spinning slam, respectively, as Penta was taken out by Darius's dive, while Dante hit his no-hand dive on Phoenix and Pac. Fox hit an inverted flip to take out everybody. Back inside the ring, Phoenix was trying to set up something in the corner with Fox, and they hit the low main pain and a 450 splash for a close near fall. Penta at one point then hit the Fear Factor, double foot stomp by Phoenix, and then they took out Top Flight with a dive while Pac hit the Black Arrow on AR Fox to pin him and pick up the victory, retaining the tag titles. After the match, Pac said the Death Triangle, they aren't stupid. They've seen the videos that have been playing over the last couple of weeks. They know who wants to return at Full Gear. They know who wants to face them and thinks that they can beat the Death Triangle, but that's ridiculous. They won't. Pac said that the Death Triangle hides from no one and that they want to face these men this Saturday. They got a ticking clock on the big screen that then showed a graphic for the Trios Championship match at Full Gear. One side had the Death Triangle, the other side had nobody. After a few moments, the other side then had the Elite, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks, making the match official. It will be the Death Triangle defending the AEW World Trios Championships against the Elite at Full Gear.
This match is going to be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
We were supposed to get this match at Fire Fest a few years ago, but then Pac pulled out like their bookings for a while because he didn't want to lose as the Open the Dragon Gate champion.
Correct. So this is going to be super fun. I think good chance this could steal the show and be match of the night. But we'll see how it all does go down. I'm interested in seeing if there's any more, because tonight, Death Triangle felt like a cohesive unit. So I'm interested if during the match at the pay-per-view, if there's any more of the tension of Pac doing the whole, gotta use the hammer. Or do they just go straight up match and not do any of that just to try to have a banger of a match?
I mean, I could see it. I can honestly see it maybe like if they do lose the belts, the team's all frustrated and Pac just turns on the Lucha Bros.
Yeah, I can see that as well. Ricky
I mean, it
Stark,
would be a perfect
go
it
for
would
it.
be a perfect time for Pac to turn heel if that's the direction they go.
Oh yeah, because he can blame, because like Phoenix can take the pin, he can blame them and then turn on them. So Ricky Starks is in the back talking about his upcoming match with Lance Archer, and Lance Archer attacking him last week. He then says he'll face Lance Archer this Friday. And my question is, what the hell? So we know, we'll talk about it because it's the next match. We know the left side of the bracket and who's in the finals. It's Ethan Page. But the right side of the bracket, there's 2 matches. One match was supposed to take place last week, didn't take place. Ricky Starks and Lance Archer. We had Brian Cage defeat Dante Martin. So now what are we doing here? Is it Ricky Starks or Lance Archer has to work twice on Friday? Or is it going to end up being, say, Ricky Starks wins, then on Saturday we get Ricky Starks versus Brian Cage, and then that person has to work twice? I feel like somebody's working twice, whether that's Friday or Saturday. I mean, they have to get to the finals, but we don't know who or when. And I kind of would have liked them to tell us at some point, be like, hey, yes, we know that this is kind of convoluted, but this match is going to take place here. Then the semifinals will take place here, leading into the finals. I don't know. I think it's going to end up being Ricky Starks and Ethan Page in the finals, but that's just my opinion.
I can see what they might do. I think so. Friday is Ricky Starks versus Lance Archer, and maybe they do whoever wins that match. They'll face Brian Cage on like the 0 hour for Full Gear.
That's a great idea, actually. I didn't think about that
The
one.
winner of that match faces Ethan Page on the main card.
That's a great idea to get a pre-show match. They haven't done pre-show matches in a while, but if you want a pre-show match, there you go. That's actually a genius idea. Speaking of this tournament, we had Ethan Page versus Bandito, with Ethan Page advancing in the tournament. After Page controlled the early portions of the match, Bandito used his speed and agility to take over. Page tried a stalling vertical suplex, but Bandito turned the tide with one of his own. Page then grabbed the referee, which allowed Stokely Hathaway to trip up Bandito, and then Page get in a little cheap shot. Bandito had his hope spot, but Page controlled most of the commercial break. Bandito was able to hit a low drop kick and send Page to the floor, where Bandito did a moonsault off the ring post. Back inside, Bandito hit a tornado for a close 2. Page blocked a 21 plex and hit a cutter of his own for a 2. Page then went for the Avalanche Ego's Edge, the same move that he beat Eddie Kingston with, but Bandito countered into a Super Hurricane Rana and then a one-handed Gorilla Press Slam. Bandito hit a top rope frog splash for a 2 and got the crowd really into it, thinking that could have been the finish. Each man then cut the other off until Page hit a top rope body slam and a diving shoulder tackle. He then hit the Ego's Edge and picked up the victory. So either Page is in the finals. Now you just need to figure out who's going to face him on Saturday.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that Ethan Page is going to make it to the finals.
I mean, we're not going to put this match in the predictions because we don't have the actual full match set. But I'll just say right now, no matter who it is, whether it's Ricky Starks, Lance Archer, or Brian Cage, I think Ethan Page wins the whole tournament.
Yeah, they're building it up a lot more than anybody in this match.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of already tells you, yeah, Ethan Page is winning.
We had a video package showcasing, and it said it right on the graphic, Jungle Boy Jack Perry against Luchasaurus in a cage this weekend at Full Gear. Then Excalibur goes, now to our colleague Renee Paquette, who sat down with Saraya, and then they're both just standing there doing a regular backstage interview. So no one was sitting down, as Excalibur noted, but regardless, nitpick. Renee's backstage with Saraya. Saraya said that she never thought that she'd be in this moment. Saraya says she's sick of the back and forth with Britt, and she's done talking. She wants to be where the best are, and she thinks the best is in AEW and that Britt is the best, and that's why she came here to fight the best. She's like, I'll see you at Full Gear. Nothing to it at all. And there's
They're just
honestly,
trying to hype up the match more.
right. And when I say there's nothing to this segment, I don't mean that. I mean there's nothing to this goddamn match. Like, I'm not, there's nothing that really super interests me. The only interest is to see where Saraya's going to be conditioning wise.
And it's also just one of those matches, just trying to get Saraya, trying to get her like used to the ring again. And Britt Baker is probably just that one person that's like experienced enough
Right.
to make sure that she stays safe in the ring.
Yep. Then we got a cool video. Eddie Kingston and Ortiz talking about their upcoming match with Takeshita and Jun Akiyama. Didn't expect to see this one. Kingston said when he saw Jun Akiyama against Hiroshi Hase in like 1998, the Tokyo Dome, that's the match that made him go, I want to do this. This is what I want to do with my life. He said that he wants to fight Akiyama. He's always wanted to, and he's going to give it a hell of a try this weekend. He said it's going to be the biggest fight I've ever had and the most fight I've ever given come this Friday on Rampage. Cool. That match should be really fun. Match that wasn't all that fun, that was kind of just meh. It was the AEW Interim Women's Championship Eliminator match. Toni Storm against Anna Jas. And it's like another, I don't know. AEW does this way too often. We were just talking about this earlier with Jericho. Matches that are 1,000,000,000,000,000,000% predictable. Did anybody think Toni Storm was losing? Heck no. Not one bit. So why should we care? I didn't care about this match at all.
I honestly don't care about any eliminator matches. The challenger never wins.
I think
It's so predictable.
I could be wrong here, but was Jungle Boy the only one to win one when he beat Omega? And then that got him the title shot at the Saturday Night Dynamite? Or am I thinking wrong?
I don't remember. I'll have to look that up.
I could be thinking wrong, but yeah. Cincinnati says, just call it a non-title match. Well, technically, there's stakes to it. Because their thing is, if you beat the champion, then you earn a title shot. But yeah, don't put the Eliminator name on it. I think that's just dumb. Because I would rather them not put the Eliminator name on it and then say, like, in 2 weeks, oh, by the way, because this person beat the champion in a singles match, they're getting a title shot. Because it's just, you put the Eliminator title on it with the name, and everyone knows the champ's not losing. But as far as the match does go, Storm was in control early until Anna Jay kicked the leg out from under her. Then she hit her with a low drop kick. Jay had a long rest hold that went during a commercial break before Storm recovered and hit a forearm. Storm hit a Thez press and a clothesline and a fisherman suplex for a 2. They slipped outside of the ring for a little bit, and then when they got back in, Jay hit a super kick for another 2. She looked for the Queen Slayer, but Storm got free and hit a shotgun drop kick. There was another sweet chin music that connected as Storm sank in a Texas Cloverleaf, and Anna Jay tapped immediately. Nothing to it. After the match, Jamie Hayter ran out as the champion and the challenger had a little intense, as they called it on commentary, face-to-face, leading up to their title match this weekend at the pay-per-view. Nothing to it. So then we go to the main event. And I'm not 100% sure how to look this fact up, but how often and when was the last time an AEW Dynamite ended with a talking segment and not a match? And I'm talking about just the whole thing being a talking segment, not like there was a match that then led to somebody coming out and then 2 people arguing to end the show. Like, when was the go home main event final segment a talking segment like this tonight? I don't remember the last time they've done something like that on Dynamite.
Was it the Dynamite where like MJF got thrown through a table by the firm? Or did Moxley have a match before that?
I feel like Moxley had a match that then led to that scuffle. I'm talking about like full on no match set for the main event segment. They came out here with 15 minutes left in the show, all that stuff. I don't remember the last time they'd done that. So good change of pace, but it's a little weird. Moxley, that is. He just seemed off. Something didn't seem right about John Moxley tonight. I'm not going to make any assumptions, but he stuttered a couple times. He talked over himself once or twice and didn't even know what day the pay-per-view was, but we'll get into all that. Moxley comes out with Regal and says he's the best wrestler on the planet Earth, and he's going to back it up when he becomes the definitive AEW World Champion, defeating MJF this weekend. He said he is sick in the head. He's addicted to the adrenaline and the pain that this job brings. Moxley says he did some research on MJF and found out that he's a good singer and has had one win in the last 6 months. Oh, and that win was against his young boy. He said then he disappeared. You did some. This is when he started stumbling and getting a little flustered. Like, you did some Brian Pillman stunt thing, whatever. You won the worst ladder match. You showed back up in a Halloween mask, and it wasn't that like the worst finish to a ladder match you've ever seen. And I'm just like, okay, guy, calm down. Like, take a breath. Moxley said the fans will see something special at Full Gear, what he does best. He said MJF is not challenging him. He is challenging MJF to show him that he's got balls this Saturday. Stokely Hathaway would then walk out on the ramp as the Firm would try to attack. So we had Lee Moriarty run out, get dispatched of. Then Ethan Page came out. Then W. Morrissey was out there as well, and MJF's music hits. He lays out the guns and Lee Moriarty on his way down to the ring. MJF then dropped W. Morrissey with a low blow. Ethan Page went to kick MJF, but instead he kicked W. Morrissey. MJF then kicked him in the balls. MJF told Stokely and his crew to leave before he keeps kicking their ass. I mean, it's obvious that they're helping him on the pay-per-view. Like, it's super obvious. Am I wrong?
I mean, I can see it, but at the same time, it's kind of like confusing because like the way they like threw him through a table like a couple weeks ago. So that's kind of making me feel like are they really like secretly trying to help him?
Yeah, no. I think it's a fact of, if we're trying to think of this as real life, MJF went to Stokely and said, have your guys beat me up to make it look like we're not working together, but in the end, we really are, and you're going to help me win the title. He said on the microphone, MJF said he's not the same kid that fought Moxley for that belt last time, and told Regal that he doesn't need the Dynamite Diamond ring either. MJF needs the AEW title more than he needs water, food, or even oxygen. So the title means that you're the best wrestler in the world, and it's his time to prove it. MJF said the greatest trick the devil ever pulled is convincing the world that he doesn't exist. But before MJF could finish his catchphrase, Moxley would cut him off. This is when Moxley would go, yeah, but this Sunday, wait, when's the pay-per-view? And then MJF kind of mouths it to him. He's like, oh, it's Saturday? Yeah, it's Saturday. The training wheels come off. They then have a little face-to-face. They kind of jaw jack for a second off mic. And there we go. Regal got between them, and the show went off the air. That was it.
I'm just gonna say this right now.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say this right now. Like, after the segment was over, when they were saying like "Good night, everybody," I was like, "Show's already over."
Yeah.
I was like kind of confused because like, they never like ended the show like that with the segment.
Yeah. No. And in my opinion, and I've seen others say this on Twitter tonight as well, going into a major pay-per-view with a big, or at least a match that should be a big match for the world title, this one feels like one of the more lackluster builds of any in the last couple of years.
I mean, yeah, I can see it. What about the Punk and Moxley one at All Out? That kind of felt a little bit lackluster, don't you think?
A little bit, but I feel like this is even less. Because it's like They want everyone, because I mean, I could be completely wrong on this, but they want everybody to think that MJF is going to go babyface, when in the end, it's going to be him and the Firm standing over Moxley with the belt at the pay-per-view. That's my opinion, and I'll talk more on that when we do our predictions here in a moment. But as far as Rampage does go this Friday, 4 things have been announced. Athena will be taking on Madison Rayne. Hook will defend the FTW title against Lee Moriarty. Ricky Starks will take on Lance Archer in a first-round match in the title tournament. And Eddie Kingston and Ortiz will be taking on Jun Akiyama and Konescu Takeshita. But as far as Full Gear does go, this coming weekend is the AEW Full Gear pay-per-view. We're going to give you our predictions on who we think could be walking out a little victorious at the pay-per-view. So far, 11 matches have been announced for Full Gear. We're not going to predict the finals of the title tournament or the Eliminator tournament because we don't know who Ethan Page is facing. But as far as the first match that we've got does go, we have Sting and Darby Allin taking on the team of Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. I'm going to say, and I'm most likely going to be wrong here, I'm going to say Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal pick up the victory. Who you got?
It's kind of a tough one because if they really want like Jeff Jarrett to like do more matches after this, I feel like you'd probably have to go with Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking.
Also, as far as who I would like to win, I would say Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett because like Jay Lethal cannot take another loss on a pay-per-view.
Mm-mm.
He can't.
I don't think so.
But as much as I would like to see them win, I don't think it happens. So I'm gonna have to go with Sting and Darby, unfortunately.
Moving forward, the next match we do have, it's Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, taking on, can you say the returning Saraya, even though she's not really like returning to AEW, but she's returning to the ring for the first time in like 5 years. So Saraya can't lose.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to go with Saraya on this one. It's her first match in like 5 years, I would say.
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, 5 years.
So I'd probably have to go with Saraya on this one.
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be a super safe match though.
Oh, for sure. And Britt Baker will be fine taking the loss.
Yeah, Britt, she's like one of those names where if you beat her, it's not gonna affect her that much.
Exactly. So as we move forward, we got a cage match. It's Jungle Boy Jack Perry taking on his old best bud, Luchasaurus. Honestly, I'm going to go with Jungle Boy here because I think Jungle Boy needs the win. Luchasaurus, whatever. But if they keep trying to tell us that Jungle Boy's the future of this company, he needs to get some damn wins. He's been losing way too much. I'm going Jungle Boy.
Yeah, I'm going to go Jungle Boy as well. And this win could also help him look strong against Christian Cage whenever like Christian Cage is medically clear and whenever they decide to do that match. We can really like hype up this rivalry even more. Like, hey, I beat your boy Luchasaurus, so you can't fight for me anymore.
Right.
Thing.
Moving forward, in our first of 6 title matches, it's a triple threat match just announced tonight. The TNT Championship will be on the line when Wardlow defends against both Powerhouse Hobbs and the Ring of Honor World Television Champion Samoa Joe. Who do you got? You take it first.
I don't really know why Joe's in the match. I mean, I get it. Like, he attacked Wardlow. But, like, he's already, like, the Ring of Honor TV champion. I mean, I feel like it would make more sense if they, like, merged the belts together.
Right.
If they were going that. But, honestly, I'm going to go Hobbs. I think Hobbs will win.
That's who I want to win, but honestly, I think Wardlow retains by pinning Hobbs. Joe looks strong, and then we just go on from there. But the whole thing is, like, Joe's in the match because he, quote, attacked Wardlow. What'd Wardlow say? I want all the belts. He said all the belts in AEW. He didn't say Ring of Honor as well. So is that Tony Khan silently telling us Ring of Honor is just part of AEW and screw trying to make it its own thing. I don't know, but I'm going Wardlow. Speaking of Ring of Honor, the Ring of Honor World Championship will be on the line when Chris Jericho defends against 3 other men: Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, and Sammy Guevara. We kind of talked about this earlier already. I say Jericho retains.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jericho retains as well. And I've said this a few weeks ago. They should have done a 6-man tag.
Hmm.
They should have done a 6-man tag where you have Danielson, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta against Jericho, Daniel Garcia, and Sammy. It would have been the easy way to set up Jericho's opponent for Final Battle.
Mm-hmm.
For example,
Exactly.
Claudio. They could have had Claudio pin Jericho. It's like, oh, that's gonna be Jericho's opponent for Final Battle.
I mean, I'm just upset that where's Daniel Garcia even been? We haven't seen him in a couple of weeks. I would have thought he maybe would have been out there tonight in their corner or backstage doing something. Like, hey, I wish Daniel Garcia was on the show because they were pushing him so hard to just all of a sudden him just go ghost. But yeah, it's weird that Garcia's kind of disappeared over the last 3 to 4 weeks. Moving forward, we have the wait. I'm missing something. Give me 1 second. For some reason, I don't have the TBS title listed on here. Let me pull up that graphic really fast. Moving forward, the TBS championship will be on the line when Jade Cargill defends against Nyla Rose. Another super obvious match, and I could be wrong on saying that, but Jade Cargill. Nyla ain't going to be the one to beat her. I go Jade.
Yeah, I mean Jade does have to lose eventually, but I don't think she's losing this one. It's got to be Jade, and I don't like how they're calling it TBS champion versus TBS champion.
Right.
Nyla never earned the belt. She just took the tide. She just stole the belt while Jade was distracted.
Exactly. I think it's
So
super dumb.
yeah, it is dumb.
Even though
but
they even putting the name TBS champion in quotes, it's still stupid.
if they're gonna take the belt off Jade, I feel like you have to put it on someone or actually really benefit them.
Right.
So and I just don't see Nyla beating Jade.
She's already
Unfortunately. So
Jade's already beat her once for the belt, so it's like, what are we doing here? Moving forward, the ROH or the AEW World Tag Team Championships are on the line when the Acclaimed defend against Swerve in Our Glory. I think it's too soon to take the titles off the Acclaimed, so I'm saying the Acclaimed retain the belts.
yeah, super obvious. Claims winning. And honestly, this is a very interesting match as well because Keith Lee walk away from Swerve, or will Swerve actually attack Lee at the end of the match.
Right.
That's something to think about right there. What do you think will happen though?
I mean, it's kind of like with the Death Triangle. They're doing the whole, well, this one guy in the team says that we should do anything by all means to try to win, but the other guy in the team was like, no, we got to be upstanding citizens and just try to win with our merit. And I don't know. I think eventually this is all going to just lead to Swerve versus Lee in some sort of fashion. But we also do have the AEW Interim Women's World Championship on the line where Toni Storm will be defending against Jamie Hayter. And I think it's been long enough to where you rip that interim name off of there and just say world. Because if Thunder Rosa is doing interviews where she said, I can finally now jog for 5 minutes after 3 months, she ain't coming back anytime soon. So take the interim name off of that belt and just call Toni Storm the actual AEW Women's World Champion and just say, hey, when Thunder Rosa comes back, she can get a shot. But as far as who wins this match, who do you got?
I mean, it could really go either way. I wouldn't mind Jamie Hayter winning the match, but I think Toni Storm retains.
I'm going Jamie Hayter for the sole fact that I hope Tony Khan has realized that Tony Storm has not really gotten over as the champion, at least in my opinion, because if you listen to the reactions that she gets from the crowds, it's kind of lackluster at best. And so maybe you did the Tony Storm experiment. Now we go Jamie Hayter and see how that works. We know the crowds have been behind her. I'm going Jamie Hayter.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying on that one, but I'll stick with Tony Storm.
I mean, you're probably right, but moving forward, the AEW World Trios Championships on the line is the Death Triangle. Pac, Rey Fenix, and Penta El Cero Miedo defending against the Elite Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. I mean, is anybody not going to say the Elite? I mean, it's got to be, right?
I mean, it's got to be Elite. I mean, they never lost the belts. They had to relinquish them because of the backstage fight with Punk.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tony Khan puts the belts back on them. They do the Elite as the six-man tag champs like they originally planned, and just go from there.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer. It's like, if the Elite don't win, it's because somebody messed up the match. Like, I mean, that's just my opinion. And finally, the AEW World Championship on the line is Jon Moxley defending against MJF. Take it. Who you got?
It's got to be MJF. It has to be, because AEW wants to keep this guy around longer. You got to put the belt on him. You got to put the belt on. Show MJF that you really care about him. Say, hey, we don't want you to leave in 2024. We'll put the belt on you. Just don't leave.
Right. I'm going MJF as well. I mean, I said it earlier. I think in the end, it's going to be MJF cheating with the firm, helping him to win this match. And then you're going to have MJF looking like the big badass champion with all these guys surrounding him at the end. I mean, it's good. It could lead to a good visual closing out this show with either, MJF, the firm around him standing over Moxley, who he's just beaten, or Moxley's gone and the firm has MJF up on their shoulders or something. But I think I'm going to go. He's not lying when he says I won't use the diamond ring, but he hasn't. He keeps so here's the thing. He keeps telling Stokely, don't attack Moxley. I want Moxley at 100% for the pay-per-view. But he never says, don't show up at the pay-per-view to help. Don't try to help me on Saturday. He's never said that, if we actually really think about it. He keeps saying, don't attack Moxley before the show, but he never says anything about Full Gear. He never tells them what to do or what not to do at Full Gear. That's why I really think this is all Swerve. He told them, beat me up to make it look like we're not working together, but we really are. But with that, guys, those are our predictions for AEW Full Gear. And there's something that I listened for while we were doing this, and it was, that's obvious, that's got to happen. So am I wrong in thinking that this is a very predictable card? Or we at least assume that it's a very predictable card?
I mean, for the most part, yeah, but you never know, though. I mean, there's some matches where you think this has to happen, but at the end, it doesn't.
Right. So with that, again, AEW Dynamite or AEW Full Gear comes to us this Saturday. We will be live after the show running it all down. And if we do hear anything else regarding Full Gear, we'll bring it to you right here. Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Well, before we wrap everything else up, we got to talk about the polls. We got to talk about your text messages. Remember, if you want to be part of the show, you can do so by texting in to 510-906-1341. Go over there, text in, let me know what you thought of the show. But before we do all that, we got to check the polls. Let's refresh these polls really fast. As far as the Twitch poll does go, 71% like tonight's Dynamite. 14% thought it was just all right, and 14% didn't like it. As far as the Twitter poll does go, 50% liked Dynamite, 30% didn't like Dynamite, and 20% thought it was just all right. And finally, the YouTube community poll, 63% liked the show, 23% thought it was just all right, and 14%, did not like it. A couple of the comments here. This person says, very solid episode of Dynamite. I give it an 8 out of 10. The women's match was very good. Solid promos. MJF Moxley face-to-face before Saturday's biggest show of the year, Full Gear. Well, I wouldn't call Full Gear the biggest show of the year. AEW's big show, their main pay-per-view is All Out, but whatever. This person says, great show. This person says, tonight was just wrestling, 6 out of 10. Person said, crowd didn't help. And yes, I forgot to mention that. This crowd did not seem too into most of this show. Maybe that's just me, but I didn't see it. Or hear it, I mean. As far as the text messages do go, this person says, do you see FTR regaining the AEW World Tag Team titles at some future point? Well, yeah, eventually. I mean, eventually, sometime in the future, FTR will win the titles back. Kind of a dumb question. No offense. I'm not going to read this one. It's kind of a really dumb question. Luke knows which one that is. And finally, this person says, wait, what? Oh, they're basically asking the same thing that Luke already said about, can you put the one match for the tournament on the pre-show and then have the winner of that go on to the main show to face Ethan Page? Yeah, we already talked about that. That's exactly what Luke predicted earlier on. But with that, guys, that's going to wrap everything up. I do want to say thank you for joining me here. Twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Remember, if you're watching this on Wednesday, then tomorrow is Thursday. And that means Thursday, we will have the Tony Khan Media Scrum up on the channel roughly between noon and 12:30 Pacific. The scrum is live at 11 a.m. We're not allowed to stream it, but I'll record it. And soon as the scrum is over, then I will upload it to the YouTube channel. So just keep an eye out for that tomorrow to go up on the channel. But with that, have a great night. We'll see you next time. I'll be back Friday morning for the wrestling wrap-up, then Friday evening for Friday Night SmackDown. Maybe Rampage if something gets announced that seems interesting, but as of right now, this just seems like a episode of Rampage that's kind of can miss. So have a great night, guys. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time. Have a good one, guys.